Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Monday to everybody watching. Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network and the Primetime Radio Studios, along with Anchor Brew. My name is Vinnie Parise, and I am here with Shorts Guy as we get you set for New Jersey Devils hockey as they take on the Edmonton Oilers, the defending Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. Welcome to all fans watching on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, wherever it is you get your Let's Go Devils podcast content. Shorts Guy, my friend, how are you?
Doing good. It's Monday. We got a Devils hockey game tonight, so it makes a Monday even better. And it's a big podcast night for me. I got hockey on tap right after this. The network also has Devils After Dark after the Devils game. So, it's just a good night of hockey for all around for us. How are you doing today?
Very, very good. I hate when there's only two games because I'm a freaking hockey nerd. I mean, I really don't have another way to explain it. I love when there's multiple games going on, firing up multiple screens to accompany my New Jersey Devils. But I'm excited for this game tonight. It's the Edmonton Oilers who obviously, even though we'll get to the big injury, there's a big name not playing for them. But despite that, they're still a very great team with a lot of talent, especially up front. Their defense has been subpar a little bit at times this year. They started off terribly. They've been on a little bit of a heater lately. I do find it interesting, and I'd love your thoughts on whether or not this is good or bad for the Devils. The Devils played Calgary on Friday, right? Tough loss, horrible loss. They gave up a goal late, and it ended up, kind of falling off the rails there. But now you have Edmonton Oilers tonight. In between, the Battle of Alberta took place yesterday. These two teams played each other yesterday with the Devils on each side of it. I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing for the New Jersey Devils, who have fresh legs while the Oilers played yesterday.
I think it's a good thing. We know, very well what a close rivalry is like, and we know how emotional it is. And the Battle of Alberta is one of the best in the league. And the Devils need to take advantage of the post battle letdown in a sense. I don't even know who won that Battle of Alberta, and was it last night?
It was last night. Edmonton took down Calgary 4-2. Draisaitl scored 20 seconds in, and then the Oilers had a 2-0 lead. The Calgary Flames came all the way back to tie it at 2. And then the Oilers got one late, and then I swear, I would have bet your jersey behind you that I know wasn't cheap. I would bet that the Flames would have tied it. That's how intense and tenacious they were in the final minutes of the game, especially with the netminder pulled. And then the Oilers, they found a way to, thank goodness for them, get an empty netter. I agree with you. I think coming off an emotional victory one night prior, I've watched it hurt the Devils. Like I've literally kind of happened in a whole series 2 years ago.
So have I.
They had that emotional Game 7 victory, and then in Carolina, it was just they didn't have it. And that's the sign of a team. But
you could say the same thing happened in 2012. After beating the Rangers in Game 6 like we did, we go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and we were unable to perform. So that emotional letdown, I understand that that's a bigger atmosphere. It's Stanley Cup playoffs. You defeat your big rival and you send them home for the season. But, these rivalry games, they are packed with emotion. And, the Battle of Alberta, like I said, is one of the biggest in the league. So
my personal favorite.
I really like it too. I would like to attend one at some point. And
me too.
I know I was able to watch the Heritage Classic, which, on a side note, has that happened yet this year, the Heritage Classic? I feel like that's a game that goes under the radar in the United States.
I believe there is not one this year.
Wow. Okay. Because last year was the Battle of Alberta in the Heritage Classic.
Yeah.
So this is one of the bigger ones.
100%. So the most classic rivalry in the NHL is Boston, Montreal. For a while, Pittsburgh, Washington was the best, my favorite rivalry in the NHL. And then as both teams kind of started to,
That was league manufactured too, which was, kind of unfortunate.
It was.
Because the Penguins and the Caps never really hated each other. I would assume that, a bigger one would be the interstate rival of the Penguins and the Flyers. Like, that to me should be a bigger one, but the league wanted the Ovechkin-Crosby rivalry to be big. And that's kind of the unfortunate part of when the league steps in and creates a rivalry that shouldn't be.
Absolutely. It's true. The league got lucky that Ovechkin and Crosby kind of lived up to their potential, if not better. And they played each other in the playoffs 3 years in a row, and each team, all 4 times that they met up in the playoffs, in the Crosby-Ovechkin era, the winner of the series won the Stanley Cup all 4 times.
Which is huge.
It's pretty cool.
And then think back, and the playoffs will do that, but like think back to the Detroit Avalanche rivalry that started in the mid-90s. That was a rivalry that went from intense to brutal at times. And I loved watching those games. Like those playoff series between the Avs and the Red Wings. And that was when teams kind of were more kept together for years on end. And you got to see like the hate just fester between the two teams, between the two fan bases. Obviously Claude Lemieux was at the center of a lot of that, but then you even saw the goalies fighting. Like, that's how big that rivalry was. That's how intense and brutal it was. The goalies were fighting, which I love a goalie fight. They're one of the best fights you're ever going to see.
Absolutely. And it's always fun. We don't really get that much anymore in today's NHL, but what we are going to get is a big tilt.
We almost saw the Flower do it against Binnington last year. He wanted it.
He wanted to. A lot of guys want to punch Binnington in the face. I know the Flower likes to get involved as far as being a goalie that does something unusual. I know he wants to score a goal so bad he watched his partner score one a couple weeks ago. But yeah, Devils, they're taking on Edmonton. A lot of firepower in this game. The fans watching already know about Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt. It's one of the offensive forces in the NHL. I know they just got shut out in their most recent game, but that's not very Devils-like. The Flames shut them down, and they should be proud of it. In this game, Connor McDavid out. He's going to miss the next 2 to 3 weeks with a little bit of an injury. I don't really think Oilers fans are too worried because he's going to come back and dominate when he does. But during that time, they have to try and tread water while he's out. They obviously have another guy that he might not be Connor McDavid, but I believe Leon Draisaitl is right there in that next tier of there's probably like 4 guys in it. Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews. I very much believe Leon Draisaitl is right there. He'd go to any other team in the league. The power play points might come down a little bit. Okay, so he'd have 110 points instead of 140. He's still a super duper elite player in this league, and he does like to step up. It's very much similar to like when Crosby and Malkin were in their prime. If Crosby went down, Gino stepped up and won the Hart Trophy. Even Draisaitl's already done that once too. But even besides Draisaitl, they have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and they signed Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner. Zach Hyman scored 50 last year. He started, I think it was the first 9 games without a goal. Longest next season after 50 goals without a goal. Well, guess what? I think he's got 3 now in the last couple games. He's been on fire. Vasily Podkolzin, who they got from Vancouver. Our old buddy Adam Henrique is the third line center with McDavid being out. So Corey Perry's on the 4th line. I like their offense on defense. Evan Bouchard is one of the most productive defensemen in the NHL when it comes to offense, power play efficiency, and he's got Matthias Ekholm, just a solid vet as his partner. It's a good Oilers team, and I think the Devils match up very offensive with them.
They do, and I think we have the edge in goaltending because Skinner did very well last year, but I think Skinner is a very inconsistent goalie. He can play well for spurts, and he played well in the Stanley Cup playoffs last year, and brought them to where they needed to be. We have Jake Allen starting tonight, which I'm a little bit surprised at, but they're probably just wanting to give Markstrom a break. I figured we would see Jake Allen on Thursday against Montreal, his former team. And then, maybe Markstrom on, was it Saturday against the Islanders? But maybe we'll see the opposite of that. So I think we have the edge in goaltending, but you're right. We stack up really good offensively against them. And, absolutely. Draisaitl would be a top player on any other team that's not named Edmonton. And Edmonton, a little bit of a parallel. I mean, Edmonton has a lot of top forwards because they were terrible for so long. They had top draft picks for many years, and very similar to us, we were not very good for a bunch of years, and we had a bunch of top draft picks, and we now have a very offensively minded, what could be powerhouse of an offensive team. So some parallels there, but we also have the edge on defense. I think we have a much more solid defensive core than they do by far.
Absolutely. It was one of those things back in the day, like when these two teams met up. I think there was a point in time where they had 5 number 1 picks in the game. Obviously, some of those guys have moved on from Edmonton, and McDavid is not in the lineup tonight, so that is not the case. But I typically say, and I do remember specifically mentioning it last year, every time the Devils play the Oilers, I think a guy like Nico Hischier becomes extra important because not only does he, he's tied for the league lead in goals. He's just been an absolute dog offensively this year. He's also elite defensively. He's one of the best defensive forwards in the NHL. And when you have one of McDavid or Draisaitl on the ice at all times, it's very nice to have a guy like Nico Hischier who can at least help control one of them. And I never use the word shut down when I'm talking about like 5 or 6 guys in the NHL. You do not shut down Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid. You simply try to contain them.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, you simply try and contain them. If Draisaitl leaves tonight with 1 point, good job, boys.
I'll take it. I'll take it. That's containing.
Absolutely. He scored 20 seconds into last night's contest against the Calgary Flames. So let's just remember that. But no McDavid tonight. So now you assume it's a road game, so it's not going to perfectly line up in the favor of Sheldon Keefe. But you like to think when he can, he is going to do his very best to make sure that Nico Hischier is out there with Leon Draisaitl, who's technically centering the second line instead of bumping Draisaitl up in the lineup. When McDavid went down, they slid Nugent Hopkins back into center position on the top line with Hyman and Skinner because they liked what they were seeing from Podkolzin and Arvidsson on the line with Draisaitl. So you hope Nico's able to shut it down. I'd like to see, with McDavid not being in the lineup too, Jack Hughes be a little more free. And that's something that I think could help the Devils score a lot of goals as well, if they're able to kind of get Jack going, and maybe with the matchup type game that they're going to have to play against a team like Edmonton, that could kind of work in his favor.
Oh, big time, because this is definitely the potential of a run and gun game completely from start to finish. You've got 2 teams that are very offensively minded. We have the advantage on defense, and Edmonton's defense, like we mentioned already, 2-3 times, is not very stout. But these are 2 high-powered offenses that, even with a good defense, their offense can really put a hurting on a team. So this could really be a high-scoring run-and-gun game, and Jake Allen better be ready. I'm curious if Skinner played last night. I have to assume that we're going to see Edmonton's backup, who I don't know is anymore.
Calvin Pickard, and he is expected tonight.
Pickard. Okay.
He is expected to start tonight against the Devils.
Is he American?
Pickard is for you in a couple seconds. Calvin Pickard.
We were talking about it on Hockey on Tap about the depth of American goaltending just being incredible, and how a lot of the Canadian teams have good American goalies on them. So, but for some reason, I feel like he's American, but I'm not quite sure.
He is not. He is from New Brunswick, so he is firmly of the Canadian descent.
Fair enough.
The Americans, we're catching up to Canada in forward. I still think they dominate us on defense, but it's not particularly close with goaltending.
No.
They're going to probably use. They're probably going to use like Binnington or Aiden Hill, or I think Darcy Kemper's probably in the mix. There's probably someone I'm forgetting.
I mean, the only other. So we were having this discussion on Hockey on Tap not too long ago about who Canada would use, in not only in the Four Nations Cup, but also for the Olympics. Like, it's slim pickings for Canada in the goaltending, which is weird because, back in the mid '90s, late '90s, early 2000s, I mean, you had Brodeur, Waugh, Luongo, You go back a little bit further, you had Curtis Joseph, Felix Potvin.
You're naming like
the
top 10 goalies ever, mostly.
the Flower. Like, come on, like the
Mm-hmm.
Canadians ruled the roost with goaltending, and that has shifted to the Americans. And I want to say that the only ones that have the edge in the Americans in goaltending are the Russians right now, because the Russians are they're just popping out goalies like that are just
I
phenomenal.
think they're number one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I
With
have to admit, but
Bob Shesterkin and the resurgence of Sorokin this year, they're gonna
yeah,
have this like unreal. And I really like Finland too, because they're gonna
yeah,
run out.
Finland. Well,
They're gonna run
remember,
out
Russia's
UC
not in it too,
Saros.
so Russia's not in
Oh
it,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, exactly. We'll see if they're in the Olympics, but they're certainly not in the Four Nations face-off. In
no,
the Olympics,
nope,
the biggest competition probably is Finland, because they're gonna run out
yeah.
UC Saros, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and then there's one more really, really good one that is just not coming to me, and I'm gonna feel so dumb because I know how great they are.
I'll tell you what,
Um,
kind of a funny thing about the Finnish names. A friend of mine in college is from Stockholm, Sweden, and she told
mhm.
me that you can always tell a Finnish name from a Swedish name because the Finns use extra letters they don't need.
That's very true, and I
It is.
think it's like so cool if you like
It is.
understand like the Finnish culture and all that. Like it's really cool. Why am I drawing a blank? I have a picture of it, like projected rosters on my phone, but Kevin Lankinen, the
Yeah,
resurging
there you go.
goaltender playing for Vancouver. He's been real good with Demko being out, who is a
Hmm.
candidate for Team USA as well. But I think injury issues are going to keep him in fourth
Injury.
place behind Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Swayman.
Yeah, I think injury is gonna keep him out of there, and but that's one of those things where the career that pays you as much as you want to play for your nation is really the more important thing at this point for him. The
Absolutely.
Olympics will be a different story, but for the Four Nations Cup, definitely his club team is going to be more important because they're paying his bills, and he wants to continue to get paid.
100%. And both goalies sitting on the bench tonight are the projected players to make the roster for their respective countries.
Hmm.
Stuart Skinner is one of the projected goalies for Team Canada, and Jacob Markstrom is one of the projected goalies for Team Sweden.
Sweden, yeah.
So
So you
Sweden's
got
sick too. Gustafsson, Sweden, and Allmark, man. That's
yeah.
trio. It's a really good trio
It
when they're all on top of their game.
it really is, and we hope that Markstrom's playing well going into that tournament because then we're doing well. So
100%.
but it's a double-edged sword. If we want to see Team USA beat them, then we're going to have to hope that Markstrom doesn't play so hot or doesn't play at all in that tournament. But hey, you know what? I'll take that. I will take that oddity of a who do I root for and who do I like. If that means that our Devils are doing well at that time, and he gets the best seat in the house tonight. He gets to sit and watch this. He's used to this atmosphere in Edmonton. He's used to these shooters, so he could be a very big resource for Jake Allen tonight. And we were talking about this on the big show last night. Like you had two different options for tonight. You had Markstrom going in net, who is familiar with Edmonton, but Edmonton's also familiar with shooting on him. You also have Jake Allen, who Edmonton's not so familiar with, and could potentially throw a something into the mix for Edmonton to think of as far as how they're going to shoot and how they're going to play against them. So it looks like they went with the unfamiliar versus the familiar as far as our goaltending matchup for tonight.
Absolutely. And for all those watching, I want you to go into the YouTube chat or Facebook chat right
Mm-hmm.
now and throw in your predictions. I will read the ones that pop in time live on air. Make sure you go in and do that right now. Shorts guy, while people do that, get in there and tell me your prediction.
So I said it was going to be a run and gun game, so it sounds like I have to go with a run and gun prediction for tonight. We're hoping that Jake Allen is an unknown commodity to these Edmonton Oilers, and we're kind of hoping that their firepower is a little bit, just a notch lower without, Connor McDavid there. So I'm going to go with a score prediction. I'm going to go Sam Lewis. I'm going to go 8-6 New Jersey Devils.
8-6. Wow.
Yep. I know.
If this game ends 8-6, Sports Center and NHL Network and all them are just going to have the best night ever. They're praying for it with 2 games. They're
Oh
praying
yeah.
for it with only 2
Oh yeah.
games.
And you know people are hoping that Jake Allen is going to let in, a bunch of goals like he did against Tampa. But again, against Tampa, that those goals weren't all his fault. So, you know what? But it could be a high-powered offensive game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of goals. If Allen makes a couple good saves, I think the Devils should be able to score enough in this game to get it done. Obviously, I mean, Edmonton was in the Stanley Cup final for a reason. Nothing's a gimme in this league, even when you're playing the worst teams. So they played a flawless masterpiece against Vancouver, and then the offense was stag against the Flames. I thought they defended okay against the Flames. I really didn't go into that third period going, wow, the Devils are lucky for this game to be 0-0. I'm not saying it was perfect by any means. It wasn't the masterpiece that was the game before,
No.
and Vancouver had like 16 shots in the entire game. But the Flames, they're not as high power. They're not as gifted as the Canucks. And the Devils had them at 0-0 until late in the third when they got that one. And once that one went in, I was like, toast. Done.
And it was a bad tip. It was a bad tip. And those as a goalie, they go by you and you're like, what the hell? Like, what can I do? And you almost have to put it out of your mind. And then that 2-on-1 was just a defensive blunder. You saw Markstrom go out. He played that shot, which as he should have in that situation. That pass should not get through, specifically through Siegenthaler's legs. Markstrom went out strong, played the played the shot, and the pass got through, and it was like a wide open net. So, can you say that Markstrom played it maybe a little too aggressively? You can, if you watch how he comes out at that shot. But he was just assuming that there was no pass getting through, and he was going to be able out and play the angle big, and he got burnt. So that's really the only thing you can say.
Absolutely. So let's read some of these predictions from the YouTube chat.
Let's do it.
Starting with Felix, who got his prediction in long before I even asked. Devils 5-4, only because Shorts Guy said the Devils goalies are better. You are an influencer on the internet.
There you go.
Joseph says 3-1 Devils. Henrique scoring is a no-brainer. Yes. Couldn't agree more. Adam Henrique loves scoring against the Devils, but you can't take solace knowing he also loves scoring against the Ducks now. Any team that Henrique used to play for, he loves scoring for. Steve Engel says 4-3 Devils. Max says 7-4. Max says 7-5. Brooke says 5-4. Michael says 4-2 Devils. Evan says 6-5 Devils. And he left a little comment that Hyman is due for 2. I mean, you're not wrong, but we don't need that tonight. Eddie says 4-2 Devils with an empty netter. And then Max wanted me to point out that he nailed the unlikely 6-0 last week. That was a pretty good call.
Yeah, and there was one more score. Brooke Amanda said that Molina says 3-1. So.
Got it. See, that's where I messed up.
Yep.
There you go. Molina 3-1. Hopefully Molina is able to get that correctly because that would mean the Devils win. I will take any of these scores as long as it is the part that's correct is that the Devils win. That's what we want.
Yes.
Sam Wu says 9-2 Devils. 9-2 Devils victory over the.
I'll take that.
That would be something. That would be really cool. I'm assuming
it's a total letdown after the Battle of Alberta for Edmonton.
Oh yeah. I don't recall seeing the Devils score 10. I don't think they have in franchise history. I'm actually almost convinced they've never scored 10 because I remember the last time
9.
they got to 8.
I think 9. Selecta Boy just snuck in a score prediction there. 4-2 Devils.
Absolutely. I am going to go with the prediction of what do I like? I'm going to say 5-3 Devils. You're up 4-3 and you throw one into the empty net to seal the game, and Edmonton will ferociously try to come back, but that's not going to happen for him. Nico Hischier with the empty netter after playing a sound defensive game on his end.
Take it.
And I think giving up 3 to Edmonton would be a sound defensive effort.
I think so as well. Totally.
I would actually sign on the dotted line for the Devils to give up 3 only right now. And believe in the offense to get 4. I really think I would, because The only thing that ever makes me think the Devils could lose a game is them giving up too many goals. Now Calgary's an exception. Every team gets shut out at least once. That 2 years ago thing where they didn't get shut out, that was an anomaly. That may never happen
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
You
yeah,
get
yeah.
shut out here and there. But we'll see how it goes. I can't thank everybody enough for watching on YouTube. Shorts Guy and I have been doing really good with our rants, I think, lately. Kind of going off
We have
topic for
been.
like 5 minutes, then catching ourselves and bringing it right back to the Devils. I love that because people do want to hear more than just the same old song and dance. Oh, we think Nico Heischer is good. Oh, we think Jack
Yeah,
Hughes is good.
yeah.
It'd be nice if the goalies played better. Like you've heard that on every other Devils podcast. You've heard us say it before. But I enjoy the Four Nations talk. I'm sure we'll get to plenty of that. There's a lot of
Oh,
Devils
yeah.
flavor
Well,
all over these
we'll,
predictions.
we'll have to do some game day lives for those games.
Oh, I'm down.
We'll have
every
to.
Team
We'll have to
USA
do
game,
some
or
of that.
maybe even every game.
Well, yeah, we'll do a lot of those games because that's a lot of fun, and this is just like the banter that comes between you and and it's I love it, and this is what makes doing game day live so much fun with you is just the banter between us, and that's just our friendship that we have, and I love it.
Absolutely. Now, when you do hockey on tap later, make sure to remind our friend Billy Dean that the Rangers better win the cup this year. Otherwise, they're going to have to pay Igor Shesterkin $17 million, and that's going to be like 25% of their salary cap. And we don't want that if we're the New York Rangers. So I can't thank everybody enough for watching.
I would never wish that hell on any Devils fans to have to see the Rangers win another cup. I would never wish that hell on anyone.
No. It's just like you better win it now, right? If you're gonna win one,
now's your time.
Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad, those are their three guys. Like Lafreniere, good player. Some of their like depth. The players are really young, but like their top dogs are all in their 30s, except for Fox and Shesterkin, but he's gonna make a bank-breaking amount. We'll see how it goes for them, but hopefully bad. Make sure you watch Hockey on Tap with Shorts Guy later in the afternoon. And then once the Devils game is over, you come right back here and listen to the Let's Go Devils podcast, Devils After Dark. We can't thank everybody enough for watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Make sure you go to joinourcrew.com. You could sign up for everything relating to the Let's Go Devils podcast. You can get an email blast any single time that something big is happening in the New Jersey Devils community. Shorts Guy, while we wait for Sam Wu to hit the music, do you have anything left to say before we close this bad boy out?
No. If you want some more random hockey talk and some beer talk, switch on over to Hockey on Tap, which is going to start momentarily once we're done here. Other than that, let's watch our Devils play the Edmonton Oilers, and let's go for a Devils victory, and then we'll do it again on Thursday.
There you go. Edmonton Oilers, the defending Western Conference champions, hosting the New Jersey Devils. Go to joinourcrew.com, follow at Let's Go Devils Pod on X and Facebook and all that. And as always, as they say on this show, let's go Devils.